Hey everybody, welcome to the Insurance Journal's Academy of Insurance's weekly webinar Aftershow. I'm your host George, and joining me for the Aftershow is a gentleman without peer in the insurance education industry. Let me start by saying he is the director of the Academy of Insurance, and he is the instructor for today's class. Today's class it's a very no-frills title for a Patrick Wraight class. Workers' Comp Crash Course, kind of a alliterative toe tapper. I like it. But enough about the name of the class. It's you we're talking to. Ladies and gentlemen, today's instructor and the director of the Academy of Insurance, Mr. Patrick Wraight. Patrick, welcome to the After Show. It's great to have you here.
George, always fun. I love doing the after shows, and had a great time today. It's fast. We were moving.
Definitely a briskly paced course. A lot to get to, but you did it. I think. Did you cover everything you wanted to, or
I skimmed a couple of things, but I hit all of the highlights and a few of the lowlights.
Well, so if this is people's first time seeing an after show, or their first time, taking an academy course or viewing one, people may not know that Patrick Wraight doesn't do a lot of workers' comp classes. It's usually other instructors that do it. Why did you choose this topic?
I wanted to kind of challenge myself a little bit and do as we were working through this kind of new to insurance thing. I wanted to give somebody who's brand new to insurance and says, all right, well, I got to deal with this workers' comp thing. What's the deal? A bare bones crash course on here's workers' comp, and here's what it's all about. And
got it.
Certainly there are those. I mean, we had Frank Panaccio's workers' comp basics, and Frank and Nancy and James and others who've done more in the space. So I wanted to study and prepare and do something that I hadn't done before. And, only those who attended or watched the recording can say whether or not that was a good thing.
I would think they would, because it was really good. So we had a class with Casey Roberts about EPLI, and I didn't realize that, because EPLI is a newer kind of liability insurance built into workers' comp. And he said, workers' comp's a lot older than EPLI. I didn't realize how old workers' comp was, but you brought us back to the 1800s. And I think the Industrial Revolution and factory work and things like that is what kind of prompted it. But if I'm not mistaken, if I am mistaken, let me know. Am I kind of in the ballpark? Or
yeah, I mean, the workers' comp movement in our country, in the U.S., is less than 200 years old, and you think about, we take for granted some of the things that are kind of the how we operate today. When we go to work, it's expected that our workplace would be relatively safe. Even those who work in high risk type jobs would expect that there'd be certain safety measures in place. But in the 1800s, what people did all kinds of things without any thought of how can I do this safely. They simply did it. And, some of them got hurt and some of them got killed, and there was no structure there at the time to help anybody who was injured in work. So
got it.
It just kind of evolved kind of naturally over, I would say naturally. People get tired of things the way they are. They protest, they raise a stink, they do things, and it kind of popped up in the early 20th century.
Raise a stink.
Raise a stink.
Wow. So you said that out of all 50 states, Wisconsin was the first state to pass workers' comp laws, and Mississippi was the last state to do so. Like it did so after Hawaii? I mean, it did. Is it really the last state to have done so? And why do you think Mississippi would wait till the last minute to do it?
So now, here's the funny thing, George. As I was saying that, I was thinking to myself, now, when did Alaska and Hawaii join the Union? And the answer to that question is I don't remember. Um, but according to my research, Mississippi was last. And why? I mean, it could have been a political thing. You know, it could have been they were dealing with other issues, kind of thing. What I thought was more interesting, honestly, was that in Texas, employers can opt out of the workers' comp and do a private thing that's outside of the what everybody else does. And I read an interesting paper on one researchers thought that maybe that was a good thing that Texas went that way.
Does Texas have optional? Could you sign up for Texas work comp insurance or get your own, or is it like they don't have it and you have to get your own?
Yeah, it's they have they have a workers' comp law, and you can opt in, or you're by default businesses are opted in, so they can get a workers' comp policy that works in Texas, or they can opt out and they can buy a different type of workers' comp policy that is they tend to be a little bit more restrictive on some of the way coverage applies, but it's in many ways basically the same, but it is more restrictive.
Texas of all states. Huh.
Texas of all states.
All right. I'm not going to ask you questions about Mississippi again. This is my first and last one. I didn't know you were going to react. So you're going to take off your shoe and go Nikita Khrushchev on me with the shoe. So I'll stop. Don't worry. No more Mississippi.
Nobody in this building wants me taking off a shoe at this time of day. It's been on my foot too long. There's no telling what'll come out of it.
Disclaimer to the audience of the after show. I am not in the same facility or room as Patrick Wraight, but I tend to, I don't know why, I tend to believe him. If he says no one wants you to take off your shoes, I wouldn't protest. All right. Okay. So another interesting look, I was surprised how well versed the class was in this when you said in the chat, can anyone name for me occupational diseases that might stem from a workplace? And everyone's like black lung, occupational asthma. I forget what they said, but and there was was it welder's disease? I forget what the welder's
cough or welder's
cough,
something like that. Yeah,
the staggers, housewife's knee, like all those things. What's the weirdest occupational disease you've ever heard of, or thinks should be a disease, or is there a kind of a way out one that you?
Housewife's knee. You just threw it out there as maybe this is one. I don't know.
I think I remember an episode. I remember an episode of The Simpsons where Grandpa Simpson was talking about a bunch of like Depression era or pre-stock market crash diseases, and like the staggers, dropsy, and he mentioned housewife's knee is not taking off your shoes in near the academy classroom. And come on, the stank.
Oh, hey, listen, keeping your shoes on. You keep your shoes on. It's better for your feet to have shoes on more. Things like that. Is it? But did
you just make that up, Patrick?
Disease. No, I'm thinking, man, because and I don't know, because there's a lot of pretty common things, right? Carpal tunnel, repetitive motion kind of things. We think about things like black lung and and the kind of things that might create, but because you're in a certain business, you have, stuff that gets into you, man. Yeah. Probably the strangest thing in a way was how COVID-19 played out in the 2021 era, when most employees and employers, if somebody presented a workers' comp claim, said, I got COVID at work and I got to take a month and a half off, in most places, it just, we're not doing that. But when they started talking about emergency service workers, EMTs and doctors and the like, think that made perfect sense. But if a doctor gets the flu, they're not filing workers' comp. So it's, it was kind of a strange situation, but worked out.
Yeah, I'm surprised that a workplace would believe someone's got welder's wrist and give them insurance, but not COVID. I don't know. Know what I mean? I think you do. All right. I think you're expecting a Mississippi question, and I'm gonna just go. Don't do anything rash. You said on one of the slides, you said, "Who needs workers' comp?" And I thought you were going to say everyone, but then you said it varies by state. Do some people need workers' comp less in certain states? I guess Texas feels like they do, but is that what you meant, or
no? It's it depends on the state laws, right? Because essentially everybody who employs somebody has to have workers' comp. It was interesting because I had in studying this, I reached out to a member of our team to say, hey, how do we handle our workers' comp? Just because I'm curious, because but we actually have a workers' comp policy that for our folks that live and work in the United States, and we have a foreign, we have liability coverages and workers' comp type things for expat employees who are out of the country. So, the point of saying that was that essentially every business needs this. There are just very, very few, especially once you are more than just a sole proprietorship, right? So you've got to those kinds of that it's almost a universal kind of requirement.
So you mentioned a term that you introduced today that I hadn't. I think I'd heard it in other classes, but this is your first work comp class. It was not your first, but I think a rare one for the academy is monopolistic states. So whereas Texas kind of gives you options, there are still 4 states out there that don't. I think you said Montana, North Dakota, and something else, 2 others. Why are these states still holding out, and what does that mean? Does that mean they control the workers' comp insurance and they won't let private insurance be sold, or?
Yeah. So when I got into insurance, there were actually 5 monopolistic states. West Virginia was one of them. And what it's just like you said, the state runs the workers' comp fund, and you don't buy, you don't go to a workers' comp insurance company over here to get a policy for your your underwater basket welders who are trying to get workers' comp. You go to the state and say, hey, I need coverage for my underwater basket welders, and they say, oh, here's what, and the states sell it. It's the state fund. The issue with the monopolistic states is that the state doesn't want to provide employers liability, and so they've got to get that somewhere else. Interestingly, West Virginia transitioned from a monopolistic state, and they divested the state fund into a company and created an insurance company that they went from having just the state, and it was that company, and that's where all essentially at the time, and this is almost 20 years ago now. At the time, the only place you could get workers' comp coverage in the state of West Virginia was through that company.
I want to ask you a couple more things. One is you mentioned work, that work-related work-related accidents or work-related workers' comp injuries. So if an injury happens at the workplace, isn't it always work-related, or is there a distinction between something that's work-related and something that isn't in the workplace?
Yeah, I mean, for example, if you're at work doing work things and you trip and fall, that's probably going to be, something that could be a workers' comp thing. If you're at work and, you're get into since we're into that kind of time of year, two people get into an argument about their fantasy football league, and one person hits somebody over the head with a laptop. That's not going to be a workers' comp thing. There has to be an element of you're working, not just you're there.
So if you're in the workplace,
it doesn't necessarily mean that your injuries are work related.
Oh, okay. Even if it's with a workplace issued laptop on the premises of the work?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe
anywhere but Mississippi. Never mind. Patrick, I was showing someone the academy, and by the way, this class and over 350 other classes are available in the catalog of the Academy of Insurance, and there's a new live webinar once a week, and the topics are all different. The instructors are different. It's fantastic. But I was showing someone, someone was interested in the CGL Commercial General Liability Masterclass. So I was showing them the Academy yesterday, and I was showing them upcoming live webinars, and I said, look, ABC, not as easy, 1, 2, 3, the CGL coverages. Look, we've got more CGL than just the masterclass. Patrick, you're teaching that class.
Yeah.
What are we going to expect out of that? And I like the Jackson 5 thing, the play on that. So I caught that.
It's good, huh? Did you like that better than the workers' comp crash course title?
I think both are different. They're one's like workers' comp crash course. It's almost a log line. The coast is toast. Like from the Volcano volcano, like workers' comp crash course. It has that action feel to it. Whereas ABC is not as easy. 1, 2, 3. That's another kind of. I like them both.
Fair enough. Okay, so what we're going to do is kind of like anything else that we've done in this kind of new to insurance series. Hitting the CGL, the ISO CGL policy from a high level. Here are a lot of different things that you need to know as basic understanding of what is this policy, what's covered, what isn't covered. Where in the CGL masterclass, we'd spend an hour on coverage A. We're going to spend and we're gonna talk about coverages A, B, and C all within 20 minutes. And we'll talk about some of the exclusions. We'll talk about some definitions. In fact, spoiler alert, I'm working on creating that right now. I spent a good chunk of today working on it. It's not done. It's in the middle. So very excited about doing that and looking forward to it.
And then next week we got our podcast co-host Kevin Amrine doing something. What do we got?
Yeah, and Kevin and I had a conversation this week about his class because a lot of times people, when you think about this renting things, I'll probably cut you off in the middle of waxing eloquent about the title, but I mean, sorry. That's what happens when you're doing stuff. I'm excited about Kevin because he's not just talking about like Airbnb or Vrbo. He's talking about the exposures that are created when people are doing these non-traditional current side gig kind of renting stuff out, renting out property, renting out boats, renting out pools, renting out themselves for task work, whatever. No, I'm very excited about this class. I really want people to catch this because it's going to be so different from other things, but still going to be talking about what happens when clients are doing stuff with their stuff other than just using it themselves.
I thought of one more occupational disease that might not be that well known, but butler's cankles.
Ooh, that you don't want to mess with a butler's cankle. He might get a cankle sore, and that's a bad thing.
Patrick, always a genuine pleasure having you in the after show. If you and everyone out there, Patrick Wraight is the director of education. He doesn't fool around. Insurance is his bread, and danger is his butter. So he is just a phenomenon.
I don't know
if you're already in the
about it.
academy, if you're already a member of the academy, go check out more courses by Patrick Wraight. If you're not a member of the academy, join. Contact the academy today. Support at IJAcademy.com. 800-897-9965, extension 166. We know a guy, and we can get you checking out those courses, getting the learning in front of you, as Patrick would say.
Get the learning in front of people.
Patrick, Director of Education, today's instructor, and cankleless servant of insurance knowledge that I know of. I mean, you haven't taken off your shoes.
I don't believe that you would classify. I don't believe that we have cankles all going on.
Before Patrick takes his shoes off, I'd like to thank everyone for coming to the after show today. We will see you next time. Patrick, thanks again. Everybody, take care of yourselves. Have a great day.
I'm going to get some Tim Hortons after this.
And some cankle salve, hopefully.